So the billion-dollar scam here in Canada, Driver Inc. Boy, oh boy, is this getting a lot of traction lately. Now, I got a lot to say about this. I've done 2 videos on Driver Inc. models about the scam, about the tax evasion, about what drivers are doing. So it's identical to the 1099 in the US, except for us here in Canada, it is classified as a tax invasion, manipulation, however you want to deem it. It is wrong and people got to stop doing it. But there are other sides of the story. All these articles that I keep reading is about fleet owners that are driving people to work under the Driver Inc. But it's not really like that. So first of all, let's talk about what is Driver Inc. and what's happening. So Driver Inc. is when a driver works as self-employed and is not paying his taxes. So here in Canada, under regular payroll, anybody who doesn't own their own truck should be a company driver. A company driver needs to get paid on payroll, and in their pay, there's got to be deductions of CPP, EU, and EI here in Ontario. Now, if you are working under the Driver Inc. model, then you are getting paid on your corporation, and then you yourself are doing the taxes at the end of the year. Now, that is 100% wrong, and it shouldn't be done. So let's talk about why drivers are doing it. So what's the benefit to the driver? Why are drivers wanting to work on the Driver Inc. model? And I know that everybody out there thinks that it's the trucking companies pushing the drivers, but it's actually in reverse, that it's the drivers that want to be on Driver Inc. and us fleet owners have an impossible time hiring or recruiting drivers under payroll because everybody does it. Everyone is hiring drivers on Driver Inc. You will almost certainly not be able to find a company driver working on payroll here in the GTA. This is so common. The driving schools are teaching the drivers, the accountants are teaching the drivers. Everyone wants the Driver Inc. model. You cannot recruit. And actually, if you're gonna subscribe to this channel, I'll actually take one day and I will take the phone calls on myself, and you guys can hear out there how hard it is to hire somebody under payroll. But what is the benefits of the Driver Inc. model? So the driver doesn't get his deduction. So let's take a $5,000 salary every single month. If I make $5,000, in reality, I'm supposed to have a deduction of CPP, EU, and EI, leaving me with about $3,200 out of my $5,000 gross. I would get a paycheck net take home $3,200 after my deductions. Now, under the Driver Inc. model, I would get that $5,000 and I would take the entire $5,000 home. Okay. Once I take that into my corporation, at the end of the year, I have $60,000. And now I'm going to start expensing a lot of things from my corporation. So whether it's my fuel, whether it's, my clothing, whether it's, safety gear, tools, anything and everything that you can think of that is legal, you can deduct from that corporation. Okay. Now, another thing that you're going to deduct from that corporation is your own personal salary. So the personal salary that you have, you don't have to take the whole $5,000. You could take $3,000 and pay a much smaller tax bracket than you would if you were to make $60,000 or $80,000. So that's a huge one. Okay. So different tax brackets, paying at the end of the year is a huge tax advantage. Okay. So it's a tax deferral. So you're not paying from your paycheck every single month. You're paying at the end of the year and also all your expenses, which is a lot of expenses. So you're going to be paying only taxes on half that amount or even a quarter of that amount, because that's what the Driver Inc. model stands for. So tax deferral, not paying when you get your paycheck, you pay at the end of the year. That's a huge advantage, and that's why a lot of drivers are doing it. Now, another thing that you do with the Driver Inc. model is you hide your income. Nobody really shows the government how much you made. So for example, when you are a salaried employee, we as trucking companies, we submit, or any company out there usually submits at the end of the year how much every single employee makes, something called a T4A. We submit that to the government. Now, the government knows how much of it is your gross earnings and how much you were deducted. When you are on a Driver Inc. model, the government doesn't know how much you made in your corporation. It's only what you declare. So that is another big reason why drivers are going under this Driver Inc. model. And then the last thing we'll talk about, the advantage, is that the corporation and your personal is a completely different tax bracket. So when you're under personal, depending on your salary, you're deducted 30 or 40 or 45% from your salary, from your gross earnings. When you're on a corporation, you're getting about 12.5% is what you're paying on your corporation in taxes. Okay. So that's why drivers are doing it. That's why it's becoming so big here in the GTA. And I honestly, with our terminal out in Moncton, New Brunswick, I never hear drivers wanting to work under a Driver Inc. model. It's very normal over there that drivers work under payroll. The same thing happens in Alberta or in British Columbia, but they're starting to get educated on this Driver Inc. model and that people are getting away with it. What's the biggest problem? The biggest problem that we have is that the CRA and the MTO do not talk to one another, okay? So it's either a CRA coming in and doing an audit or it's an MTO, but they themselves, they don't communicate with each other, okay? And that's why this Driver Inc. has gone so far and causing a shit show in our industry. I mean, billions of dollars are being lost. Hell yeah, they're being lost. Why? Because these government bodies can't seem to talk to one another and get their shit together. Okay, I've been hearing about this Driver Inc. crackdown for years already. Okay, it's about time that you guys get into some sort of meeting and get your heads together and find out how you're going to tackle this. It's not the trucking companies that are pushing this forward. The actual truck drivers that are being educated that this is a better form. They don't need the extra hours and they don't need the overtime pay. And most of the drivers that I talk to, they don't give a shit about the overtime pay and they really don't care about rights. They want to be able to pack their shit up and to leave without giving notice, or they want to be able to just be versatile. They can work for one company today and a different company tomorrow, and the Driver Inc. model really does it for them. As much as I push against it, and in every single one of my videos that I've done about the Driver Inc. model, I really feel that everybody should be on payroll, but the system doesn't allow it. It allows people to get away with things. It allows people to get this far. I mean, billions and billions of dollars are being lost. I am at a really, really high tax bracket because of these things, and I want this to stop immediately. But there's more underlying problems under the surface with this Driver Inc. model. All right, when CRA comes knocking on your door, how are they gonna determine if you are a Driver Inc. or you should be on payroll? Well, very easy for them. They will send out a standard form, and in that form, you're gonna be asked 5 questions. Question number 1 is, do you own your own truck? And that's going to be no. Question number 2, do you pay for your own fuel? And if you're a company driver, the answer to that question is no. Do you choose your own routes? Well, that's a little iffy. Can a driver choose his own routes? Our company drivers do choose their own routes. We don't tell them which routes to take. And then the question number 4, do you pay for your own repairs and maintenance? And the answer to that question is no, you do not. Now, do you have multiple sources of income? Usually most company drivers that work for trucking companies, they work for one company and they do not have multiple sources of income. Based on that, the officer is going to deem you a company driver. And if he deems you a company driver, now they're going to reverse, okay, the payments that you've done. They're going to make you pay the CPP, EU, and EI that you were supposed to pay. Most likely they're going to come after the trucking company that you work for, or at least they're gathering information on these trucking companies that are doing this. The way I feel like this industry needs to crack down is you got to start from the bottom up and not from the top bottom, okay? It's these small fleets. Now, the advantages for a trucking company, and this is where it gets even more difficult. Companies that are hiring Driver Inc. models have a competitive advantage over the bigger carriers that are doing it the right way, okay? What do I mean by that? Companies that have Driver Inc. drivers, they get away with paying 25 to 35% less. What do I mean by that? So when we have a company driver on payroll, the company is responsible also to pay for taxes. There's a lot of stuff that the company pays on the driver's behalf. There's the deductions that come to the driver, and then there's also a portion that the company pays on the driver's behalf for having this truck driver to the government, right? So 25 to 35%, these companies have a competitive advantage over companies that are doing it the right way. So if you're doing it the right way, basically you are getting stiffed. Why? Because the companies that are not doing it the right way are not getting punished. They are having a 25 to 35% competitive advantage over companies that are doing it the right way, and CRA and the MTAO can't get their shit together to freaking put an end to this. And that for years I've been reading articles on them that they're going to be doing something about this, and nothing is ever happening. At least I don't see it, because I still get every second phone call into this office for drivers here in the GTA is Driver Inc. models. And if you do not hire Driver Inc. models, it's okay, thank you. The guy across the street is hiring also. That is what's happening right now here in the GTA. Now in the US, I know that it is legal to work under 1099. It is okay. I am hearing that apparently in California, you're not allowed to work under 1099. Everybody's under payroll. And that's kind of what they're trying to bring into Canada, that this is wrong and that you're not allowed to work under Driver Inc. They really want these people to pay taxes the way they're supposed to be paying taxes. Because if the government is going to collect another few billions of dollars, maybe my tax bracket will be lowered. And that's why I'm very emotional and passionate about this topic. I think it's completely wrong, and I think it's been dragging out for far too long. Guys, we need to start doing something about this. We need to level out the playing field. You cannot have smaller trucking companies having this competitive advantage over the larger trucking companies. The larger trucking companies, or the companies that are doing it right, are at a disadvantage. So you're playing by the rules, you're doing things right, and you're at a disadvantage. Why? Shouldn't you be compensated somehow for doing things the right way? Shouldn't you be having the competitive advantage if you're doing things the right way? Everything is just in reverse in our industry. So guys, I mean, this is a really big topic here in Canada, and I'd really love to hear my Canadian friends out there, even my American friends out there that are on 1099. I mean, for you guys, there's black and white concrete rules, and here in Canada, things are just in the gray. There is no concrete rule, and nobody's doing anything about it if somebody breaks that rule, okay? There should be hard fines, there should be big fines out there for companies that are doing it. There should be a whole team designated for, I mean, you guys want to collect $1 billion, put a team together in place to crack down on this if you're really adamant about doing something about our trucking industry, okay? Our trucking industry here in Canada really needs a cleanup, and this is where they can definitely start from it. But I'd love to hear your feedback, and I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So please put down the comments below and share your opinions with me. I will do a follow-up video, so if you're not a subscriber to this channel and you're enjoying topics like this, make sure you hit that bell notification and make sure you're a subscriber to this channel so the next time we take out a video, you'll get notified. I'm Ronen, Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next video.